Illegal migration is Trump's enemy number one, but if you go down that list, you will find an unlikely name, USAID, the American government's charity arm. It's the biggest donor in the world. It manages 60 missions in 130 nations. But Trump is slowly killing it. All USAID staff have been placed on leave. Foreign aid has been frozen and their website has been taken down. Trump's justification is ideological. He says USAID was run by radical left lunatics. But politics aside, there is plenty to dig up here because USAID has a sketchy side too. They have meddled in other countries, funded radicals and run covert operations. We'll start with the radical funding. USAID has given money to a group called FIF, the Falah-e-Insaniyat Foundation. FIF, it is based in Pakistan. It is basically a front for Lashkar-e-Taiba, the same terror group behind the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. USAID was indirectly funding them. In the year 2021, they gave $110,000 to a Michigan charity, a group called Helping Hand. And this charity shared ties with Pakistan's FIF. At the time, this donation was flagged. USAID also launched an internal probe into it because the FIF was a banned group. Yet in 2023, more money was given, around $78,000 to the same Michigan charity. Was this oversight or was it planned? Either way, it should not have happened. Aid should go to people who need it, not charities linked to terrorists and radicals. And this is just one example. Washington has always used aid to further its agenda. It was never about charity, it was about politics. I have some examples for you. In Cuba, USAID created a social media platform in 2010. It was called Zunzuneo, sort of like a Cuban Twitter. At first, it focused on music, sports and weather, but the end goal was sinister: to influence Cuban youth, to stir trouble and trigger street protests. But media investigations exposed this plan. Soon, the platform was shut down. Example number 2 is Bolivia. USAID funded opposition groups in this country. The goal was to destabilize its then president, Evo Morales. Now, Morales was a socialist leader. His policies were seen as anti-American, so USAID quietly undermined him. In 2013, Morales had had enough. He expelled USAID from the country. Example number 3 is Peru. In the 1990s, the country ran a sterilization program. Around 200,000 women were forcibly sterilized, again with funding from USAID. And these are just just 3 prominent examples. Dozens of countries have accused USAID of meddling. Russia, Nicaragua, Iran, Honduras, the list goes on. And the agency does not just meddle, it imposes American ideology on other countries. That's what happened in Brazil in the year 2005. The US offered $40 million to Brazil. The money was supposed to fight AIDS, but Brazil rejected the money because the funds came with conditions. Brazil had to embrace anti-abortion and abstinence policies. So their government said no. At that time, the US president was George Bush. More recently, Joe Biden tried the same thing. He funded all sorts of diversity policies abroad.
These are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do.
Aid is a big tool of foreign policy. It may look like a large-hearted campaign, but it comes with strings attached. Just ask India. In 1965, USAID gave a loan to India. The plan was to set up a fertilizer plant in Chennai. But the loan came with conditions. Only a US company would handle the distribution and no other fertilizer plant would be built nearby. Such aid based on conditions was the norm back then. India finally started rejecting them in 2004. Still, USAID runs multiple campaigns here. In 2024, they donated around $141 million to India, which is slightly lower than the previous year when it was $153 million. And what's the status of these campaigns now? Well, all of them have been frozen. In the short term, there will be some pain, but experts also see an opportunity here, especially in South Asia. Countries in this region have traditionally depended on two sources, Chinese loans and US aid. One has been stopped, the other is untenable. So maybe India could step up to the plate, offer assistance where necessary. Of course, the rules of charity apply to India as well. You can keep your interests in mind, but you cannot undermine others. We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote efforts. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.